Good morning, Stitch Roadies. Today is Saturday. It's Saturday, and it is somewhat overcast. No blue sky out there, but it's still going to be a great day. I work hard at trying to create an environment in my head that every day is a good day. I don't know about some of you, but there are moments where suddenly I have this overwhelming sense of sadness. I'm not sure if it's because I've seen something on the news, which I try to avoid, or just maybe I haven't had enough chocolate. But yesterday afternoon was one of those days. And so how did we take care of that? Well, one thing is I am blessed in that I am able to just say out loud to G, I feel a little down. And he'll say, is there a specific reason for that? And I said, no. It's, who knows, hormonal, not enough chocolate, whatever. So what did we do to remedy that? We had our happy hour and I cooked dinner, which isn't usually in my forte these days, but I decided I wanted to make a stuffed red bell peppers, and I am not, I'm just bragging on myself here. They were fantastic, and I just combined the plant-based meat that I get sometimes at Trader Joe's, and a little bit of brown rice and quinoa, garlic, onions, chopped up red bell pepper, and you know, then seasonings how you want it, and I kind of stir-fried that all together, and then I stuffed the red bell pepper. Of course, G wanted salsa in his, so I poured some salsa on top of his, and then some vegan cheese on top, and I baked it. While we watched Fawlty Towers. Because if there's anything that's going to bring you out of the doldrums, it is Britcom. And I was desperately looking for Vicar of Dibley, but I couldn't find it anywhere in all the streaming services where you could watch like from season 1 through. And I have BritBox, so I'm not sure what that was about, but we ended up with Fawlty Towers, and that just always, I mean, it just makes you laugh. I mean, John Cleese, I mean, really. So that's how I took care of myself, and I think it's really important to figure out those ways that when you have those moments that you are able to stop, pay attention to what's going on, and do things that make you feel a little bit better. And that certainly does include stitching. This is a channel about cross stitch, so if you would like to hang around a bit longer, please subscribe. Hit that subscribe button, and someday I would like to just see if this could happen, where every person that watches gives me a thumbs up, just to see what that feels like. I would so enjoy that. So if you take a moment to give me a thumbs up, I would appreciate that. I realized when I was going through the comments, I mean, we are all in different ways struggling for whatever reason, whether it be the health of ourselves, our spouse, our pets, our children, life we are all moving through life the same way. And I am so happy that I have things that will distract me. And I have told G before, if you see me where I can't stitch or quilt, check me in. Check me in, because truly that is a lifesaver right there. I have been texting my girlfriend Janine at Acorns and Threads, because she's getting ready to go to market and everybody's doing their pre-orders. All the shops are doing their pre-orders. And oh my gosh, there is so much to love out there. And I realize I am now becoming a collector, kind of like I collect books. I am now a collector of charts, of the dreams and the possibilities. And I know I was asked from my last Flosstube, when I was talking about how the events of the previous month, or earlier this month, changed how I was looking at my stitching. I want to clarify that it hasn't changed it to a should. I am no longer participating in shoulds. So any should out there should just keep on walking. But I have concretely, emotionally, and in my heart have wants. And I've decided to just satisfy those wants. And having it, it's kind of interesting because, my son and grandson were only off my grid for maybe 3 hours. But in that 3 hours, I had gone to the top of the mountain and down to the valley. And I just have a great need and want to stitch things for my family that speak to them. And so I'm concentrating on that. That is not to say that I am not working on my whips. It's, and I'm not a monogamous, I know I'm rambling here, I'm not a monogamous stitcher, but I am finding that there is a sweet spot for me where I can be a really focused stitcher for a period of time, and then I want to change it up to whips, and I'm finding that that's very comfortable. So I would venture to say that for each and every one of you, there is a sweet spot. You just have to figure out what that is and what feels good. It's kind of like I belong to Van Accessible's Patreon, Linda. And when we do Zooms together, sometimes, like last week, Lisa Prim on the green, I'm flustered a little bit because, it's kind of like seeing a rock star. But she was teaching or sharing with us on how she makes strawberries. Now, we all love those strawberries. I enjoyed stitching while watching or participating in the Zoom, not necessarily actually doing it at that time. I didn't feel I wanted no stress that day. And learning a technique for me is a little bit on the stressful side. But I admire my girlfriend Marcia, because she gets on the Zoom and she is stitching whatever project she's working on. She's stitching the entire time of the Zoom. She is there for companionship and to connect up and see what other people are doing, but not necessarily to complete a task as designated by the Zoom. So that has been really, really enjoyable. So any Patreon, you just have to figure out like what Patreon speaks to you at the moment. Well, what else? I feel like I'm rambling a bit, but what the heck? You can stay or you can go. I've cleaned up the beehive a bit, and I've really looked at how I want to move through crafting. It's an evolving situation. It's kind of like when I was in college, or when I was going to college. I had no clue. Now this is a story. I had no clue what I wanted to do with my life. I didn't have that kind of brain. I mean, naturally, you know, my mother wanted me to be an attorney or marry an attorney. But my dad particularly knew that I was cut from that same block of, oh my God. And so he told me that I could not go away to college unless I went to the same college that my sister was attending. And she went to a college, she was in nursing school. She went to a college that was only about an hour and a half away from our home. And no, I was ready to bust loose. I was ready to bust loose. So he told me I could either agree to go to one of two colleges, the one my sister went to, which was an hour and a half away, or this other university that was actually only like 40 minutes away. And I just didn't want that control. So he said, then I have to go to community college for 2 years, and then I could go wherever I wanted. You know, he was kind of smart. I mean, he knew the writing on the page of that child of his. So I stuck it out, and I went to 2 years of community college. And then I transferred to a university that was about 4.5 hours away. I still didn't know what I wanted to major in. I mean, I didn't know what my calling was. And so I decided that I would be a special education teacher. Well, I mean, this is kind of like picking that chart to stitch that's on 56 count that's like 300 by 300, you know. So I go off to college not realizing that there was no special education program at this college. I know you guys are just rolling your eyes like. So when I got there and I had to declare my major, I decided it was the closest thing to it was speech and hearing. I spent 1 year in that program and realized that there was no way. I can remember sitting in a final exam in which it was an audible exam where you wrote down, you translated onto paper what you were hearing. I am not the least bit musically inclined. So I didn't have that ear, and I sat there in the final going, oh my gosh, this is so not for me. And so as a senior in college, I changed my major to behavioral psychology, which was totally up my, you know what. But that required me to do 20 units a quarter, because my parents were not going to be wasting money on me to be testing every little thing I liked. I had to graduate in 4 years of college, and that was it. So that year was like so intense. It was absolutely the most intense year. And I really don't know why I'm telling you this story. Oh, I think it's because all of the Nashville market releases, it's like I am 100% in. I have been sending Janine texts going, yes, 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 and giving her the names, and I think, wow, the possibilities. I am living in the possibilities, and it is awesome. It is an awesome place to hang out. It means that you are already successful because you've opened that door. It does not matter what happens down the line, because you could change your mind and you still could graduate in 4 years. I know. Oh, my parents, my poor parents. But you know, same genetic pool. Same genetic pool. Yeah. So, with the events, back to the events of my son and grandson, it made me look at my stitching, adding the word want. I had this intense desire to touch my family with my crafting, and it made me happy. It's making me happy in a different way. And so that's what I've been doing. That's what I've been doing. Of course, Nashville, you know, when Janine comes back from that, I tell you, oh my gosh. I'm still in love with this. I am in love with this. It has made a world. This is a Harwick, I don't know what they call it, but it's a Harwick hoop on a Harwick paddle. As Margaret says, it looks like an exam is going on, because I don't know, I didn't read any directions. I stick this between my legs so that my thighs hold it down, and it's sitting in front of me, and this thing goes up and down, and this rotates up and down so that I can get it at the perfect angle to stitch. And this lifts up when I want to tie off or do something. I'm thinking that maybe you can stitch it this way. Yeah, I don't know. I just know I do it this way. It's good for the hoop. So, given the events of the previous few weeks, I decided I'm doing this for my oldest son, knowing that someday maybe his son will get it. Maybe it'll stay in the family. But this was from Fall Fling last year, Acorns and Threads, which the sign-ups are going to be in March. So be prepared. I'm so nervous that I'm not going to get in. And it's a design by Janine McGowan called Forest Homes. This is the blue flower. I'm telling you, when I saw the original and that water of Multnomah Falls, she did research, and this whole chart has things that are pertinent to the state of Oregon, but pretty much there's waterfalls everywhere. There's all these different types of animals everywhere. So this could be for any person who loves nature. The only thing that I am hoping to do differently, and it's if I can figure it out, I am going to change the word our to my. So it says, my roots are in the depths of the woods, because that is truly my older son. That is truly my older son. And so I've been using this hoop, and this is, I tell you, that is Multnomah Falls. And if you ever come to the Portland area, you must make a trip out there to walk across that bridge and see the power of that waterfall is just stunning. And then she gave us a little needle minder that has the whole chart on it. It has made me so peaceful stitching on that. Now my other son, is his own man. And he is, it's kind of interesting because he takes that love of books. My father, I never saw my father without, at 4 in the morning, he'd be sitting there reading a book. My parents always had a library, and yeah, we're book collectors. And he's a gamer. And he's written some gaming books. I told you that, I think, before. So when I saw this chart, I knew that I was going to do it because he's been reading things, medieval history type, or books that are dealing with the medieval time. And I saw this by Modern Folk Embroidery and just loved it. And it's called Here Be Dragons. That border is intense. It is absolutely intense. And I got it from Evertote, and it has Roxy Floss Gomez. So here's where I am. I loved when the border started appearing. And I don't know what this is, what I'm stitching this on. I don't have the tag. This was before Linda taught me to make a little library card. But it is an even weave, and it's kind of a blue-gray color. But, oh, I tell you. And when you want to stitch something, and especially in this case where I'm stitching this for someone I intensely love, it's a touchstone, a feel-good. Let's see, what else? Okay. Here's my adjustment. I am also stitching the primitive hare, the owl. I just love that owl. And I'm actually doing it on the primitive hare fabric. I made a mistake, and now I'm going to adjust that mistake. I counted wrong. So I do have to rip out that little corner right here and move it over a little bit, and I'm going to have to adjust the owl's wing. But I had Robin look at it, and she said that it would work. I know I've said it before, I thought this fabric was going to be hard to stitch on, but I love it. And so I'm going to be, I think I actually on my Nashville market thing have a primitive hare chart. Isn't that bag cute? With the little charms. The stitch along for Make-A-Wish with Fat Quarter Shop is my ode to spring. I hope you're joining me on this. The colors are absolutely gorgeous, and it's bountiful. Get ready in March. and this little box with all those gorgeous threads. And it's going to make a great little pencil box too. So I have been working on that. That's a mystery stitch along. That's really the only stitch along that I'm committed to, other than I was watching the Antiqueneedleworker. Yeah, I think that's Antiqueneedleworker. And they were both, they're a couple of girlfriends that do a floss tube. They were both working on this. And so I said, oh, I need to get mine out and stitch on it. So I put a few stitches in that one. And this started as a birthday salve for Becca of SamBrie Stitches. And then the last thing that I stitched on this, since the last time we got together, was the trees. I know all of you are rooting for me. You're just rooting for me. It's so nice to have such a cheering section. And I have moved on to the next big pine tree. So that's where I am. I'm moving up, growing that pine tree up there. And for this particular project and the dragon, There Be Dragons, I have been using my Morgan hoop, because this sits on my stitching pillow. This is a stitching pillow that I made from Lisa Bongian at Primitive Gatherings, and it has a place for scissors right there. So if I sit the pillow on my lap and put this up, it puts this at the same angle as my Harwick hoop. And I can use either the small side or the large side, but I'm using the small side. So that's what I'm using to stitch the trees. I got some Happy Mail. I cried. And you'll see the reason why, of course. There. I got some Happy Mail from my friend Chris, and I will put her Etsy shop, in the drop down. She makes all of the wonderful floss blings. You'll see that on a lot of my, I'm looking around because I have floss blings in a lot of projects, and some of them you can contact her. They are personalized with family photos. I have one with my boys on it. I have one with Enzo, and then I have ones that are designated like holiday stitches. And as I finish a project, I move them around. She sent me this, and yeah. Breathe. That's the Sanskrit symbol for breathe. That's my word for the year, and it's my color for the year. Breathe. A beautiful reminder to do what comes naturally. It's the first thing we do when we come into the world, and the last thing we do when we leave it. Breathe. Thank you so much, Chris. And she sent me a second one, so to give away. So if you would like this floss bling, and it comes with the ring, just use the word breathe in the drop down. Oh, and look at this card she sent. If you didn't know, she has a heart of gold and she does rescue cats. She's a rescue house. So the last thing that I'm going to leave you with, yes, is I found this Etsy shop. I was like blown away. I know this picture does not show the vibrancy of this chart, but and I will put the Etsy shop, which is called Mama Witch X Stitch. Mama Witch X Stitch. I saw this and I was like blown away by its beauty, and it was done on black. So I'm kind of toying with the idea of doing it on black because the colors, all DMC, just popped. And she shows it in different colors. It's a whale. It's a whale with octopus. It's called Whale Fields, and it has butterflies and mushrooms and moths, and it's stunning. Absolutely stunning. I couldn't get it fast enough. And then when I ended up on her shop, on her site, I was like, I was totally cracking up because although it didn't print, the front didn't print, so I had to, you know, take a picture and print it so that you could see the full picture. But all I could think about was my girlfriend Audrey. The cat. I mean, I have to show you this. It's hysterical. Look at that cat. I'm not even a cat person, and that cat cracks me up. So naturally, I had to get this for Audrey because, I mean, Stitchy Witch 42. Yeah, she needs this. She needs that chart. Even though she hates spiders, she needs that chart. So, I guess we're done. We're done for the day. I mean, I'm so grateful. I am so grateful. Which reminds me of Daylene. Whenever I say that, I am so grateful for all of you. And I just have enjoyed this journey and hope that we keep on keeping on. So if you're so inclined, put that thumbs up. Let's see if we can match the views with the thumbs up. That'd be pretty awesome. Also, breathe. Breathe. And let's see who's going to breathe. Who's going to stitch with this absolutely stunning, yeah. It's beautiful. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I love you guys. May life treat you well this week.